This is Rugby Unity. I am David Pembroke, and today another special guest who is dedicated to a very similar mission to Rugby Unity. Now, regular listeners to the program, and if you've only discovered us today, welcome to the conversation. But we started Rugby Unity about 8 months ago with a very simple idea, was that how could we start a conversation globally that would help secure the future prosperity of rugby union around the world? Because as many of you will know, we're in a bit of a tight spot at the moment. Post-COVID, the finances of the game aren't fantastic. Now, whether that be at World Rugby or through the major unions and then down into our other unions and then into our professional, semi-professional teams, we're a bit tight on cash. But anyway, there are, as you well know, many, many people around the world who are just love the game. We all love the game and dedicated similarly to try to start and sustain a conversation that helps us to take advantage of technology so as that we can listen to ideas and have understanding. And I think we are starting to see the benefits of these multiple conversations that are taking place online. But one of the most interesting forums that I have discovered as I have pursued this mission online is run by a very interesting guy, a New Zealander who lives in Cancun in Mexico, and he is leading the United Rugby Fans, which was launched in September of 2025, but it came off a more extended line of effort that Mark has been undertaking in pursuit of unifying and giving a voice to the fans of rugby around the world. Now, he joins me from his home in Cancun in Mexico. Mark Philpott, welcome to...
David, thank you. And that's a fantastic intro to your show. And I've got to say, I'm an avid viewer of your show, and I love listening to Eddie and Ewen give us their opinions on all the stuff that's going on in our beautiful game.
Yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun, and certainly looking forward to continuing those conversations. But I do think that as we've got to look at the whole game. Obviously, Eddie and Ewen, two of the great coaches of the sport, and when we can look at it, and it is about trying to pursue an understanding of that improvement about the game on the field, but it's off the field, and off the field, it's the involvement of the fans. Now, I want to get into the United Rugby Fans, but I want to know, and I know the audience wants to know a little bit about you. How has a Kiwi ended up in Cancun, Mexico, leading a global movement to empower rugby fans from around the world?
Well, David, like most Kiwis, at a young age, I put the backpack on and got out of the shaky isles and headed off around the world to chase my various dreams I had. And since that time, when I was a young lad, I have actually lived in 9 countries around the world, 35 different cities. And Cancun is my 36th city that I've lived in, and I've been here for 4 years. So it's a real global nomad journey I've been on. Loved every minute of it, learned from so many different cultures around the world, and got to see rugby in some fairly interesting places in each of the continents. So here I am. I'm in Cancun, and this is home for now, but stay tuned. There could be changes on the way.
So has rugby been a through line for you as you've travelled the world and as you've developed your career and obviously got yourself to a position now where I think it is that you are retired and now dedicated to this mission of the United Rugby Fans?
Yeah, absolutely. Look, like many of us, right, I got connected to rugby at a young age. I played the game very poorly at school and then for club level as well. My father was a much better rugby player. And I guess like many of us, we get introduced to the game by, one of our family members, and it just sticks with us. And then we become part of that global rugby family. And that's something that's stuck with me no matter where you are in the world. And as you know, you can turn up at any pub or any rugby club around the world and you're welcomed with open arms immediately. And I think that's something that's really connected many of us to the game for as long as I've been connected to it anyway. So yeah, all over the world, no matter where you are, what colour jersey you got on. I dressed up in black for you today because I knew that would be a good thing to be on the Aussie show. But yeah, look, once it's in your blood, you can't get rid of it. And that's why I came out of retirement, because I really wanted to give back to the game more than anything. And I heard a lot of noise around the rugby world, and there's a lot of great people doing so many amazing things in this game. But unfortunately, they're not being listened to and they're not being heard. And we're on a mission now to try and give those people a platform. It's not that I want to be the one that changes rugby. No. There's lots of more intelligent people around the world that can do that. But my aim is to give those people a platform. And we've started off doing that.
All right, so let's take us through that, or indeed that moment where you decided that actually I'm going to take responsibility for this. I'm going to do something about it, because the United Rugby Fans is really a manifestation of this movement that it's only been sort of drawn together recently, because you have been at this for a number of years now.
Yeah, 146 days old, United Rugby Fans today. But before that, last World Cup, I started my own YouTube channel. And every day here in Cancun, I walk across the road to my favourite park and I sit in there with my camera and I talk about rugby. And I started a YouTube channel during that Rugby World Cup in 23. And as a result of sitting down and reading all the comments on your YouTube channel, as you tend to do, rugby fans around the world, it didn't matter what country they were in, they were complaining about the game. And I'm the sort of guy that says, well, I don't want to sit down whinging like everybody else. I want to try and do something about it. So on September the 18th last year, when I was sitting in my park in the morning, it was a beautiful sunrise over Cancun's beaches. I said to myself, right, why don't we get off our backside and actually create an organisation, put some structure behind this, and activate the power, the purpose and the voices of 500 million rugby fans around the world. And that's exactly how it started. So I made a video, I put it on my YouTube channel, Inside Rugby with Mark, and within an hour, I got messages from fans all over the world saying, how can I be part of this? I want my voice to be heard. We've got so many problems in the game. And that's how the journey started. So it's been really incredible since then, David. And I've got to tell you, every day, can you imagine sitting down and doing 10 podcasts like this, talking about rugby to people across the world? That's what I've been effectively doing for the last 146 days as I educate myself on the game across the world at every level. I talk to guys that mow rugby fields in the bottom of Invercargill in New Zealand, to school teachers up in the top of Scotland, to rural families in South Africa, and they all teach me and they educate me on what's happening within the rugby world. And it's been an amazing journey to listen about our great game across the world at that level and to educate myself about it. So it's been a privilege more than anything else.
What's your summary of where the game is? And you can break it up into component pieces if you like, because it's a big game, it's a diverse game, and it has constituencies all the way from juniors in clubs and schools all the way through to the elite national team.
Yeah, look, I think we could spend 5 hours talking about that, because you're right, it's such a complex thing. And I don't want to sit here and be a negative Nelly on your show. I want to talk about the positive opportunities we've got in the game. And I'm sitting here in Cancun in Mexico, and just up the road from me is North America, and there's some fantastic things going on in the American rugby system. And I think that one of the things that we get drawn into a little bit of the time is the negative media exposure around some of the things that are happening, particularly with the MLR as an existence. And but in colleges and universities in North America, there's some amazing things going on in the development of rugby. So when you look at it, I think it's also very geographical based in terms of the issues we have in the game. If you're looking down there in the Southern Hemisphere, you've got their own problems in Australia and New Zealand that have been there for years, with the competition from rugby league and cricket in particular, and AFL in Australia, and just getting the opportunity to get more young kids playing the game of rugby. And that's a consistent issue I'm seeing all across the world, making sure that the other rival sports are not stealing the youngsters at that young age. And a critical thing around that is having the infrastructure for rugby clubs to be able to welcome these kids in and giving them the support services, such as having the equipment to play the game, having changing rooms, and all those other things. So when infrastructure is in place, we see an uptake of the game in all sorts of different countries around the world. And that's what soccer, football, and NFL are very good at doing. They make sure those infrastructure pieces are in place. The other thing we need to do is making sure the money gets to the grassroots of the game. We can all talk all day about what's happening at the grassroots of the game, but what I'm finding is one of the sad things are the people, the volunteers that are working at that level of the game today, they're tired, they're fatigued. They've been working so hard for so many years to keep the game alive. And we've got to do more to help those people. So we've got to see adequate distribution of finances from the top of the game right across the world, and also from the unions. And they have a large part to play as well. Player welfare is another thing we could talk about a lot about. We've seen a lot of concussion issues, lawsuits going on around the world. There are improvements going on now with technology, of course, helping in that area of the game. And then we've got the shining star, which is the women's game. And while it seems to be growing in a lot of areas, there's still questions to be had. You know, why are the Canadian women's team not having a major sponsor so that all those players are looked after, and they're not having to appear on TV shows to get funding? So there's a lot of things around that we can talk about as well, David.
All right. Well, let's pull those apart, and let's start with that. The need of fertilising the grassroots, and if you can give us some insights into what people think is a solution around getting the money flowing, getting the infrastructure in place, building the foundations and extending the foundations so, you know, the bottom of the pyramid can be stronger to support the top of the pyramid.
Well, here's the thing, and this is the whole essence of what United Rugby Fans is about. There's roughly 500 million rugby fans across the world, depending on whose statistics you believe today. And my take on this is that within that 500 million rugby fans, we have some incredibly intelligent people. We have a lot of connection to investment. We have a lot of ideas and innovation and creativity within that pool of resources that's simply not being used by the rugby unions or World Rugby today, in our opinion. And when you start diving into that, then you unlock a lot of opportunities. And our argument is at United Rugby Fans is that fans should have a seat on the board of rugby unions and also on World Rugby. Fans don't want to take over the game. There's a misconception around that. Fans want to be part of the decision-making process for that very reason, that we have a huge number of people that are invested in the game, like you and I, who have got history in the game. And you've got a lot of other people that have got a lot of money who want to put into the game, but they want to make sure it's going in the right areas. They're business people, they're entrepreneurs, they're people that have a lot of knowledge on running successful businesses, and they're not necessarily ex-rugby players that think they can run an administration within a rugby unit. So all we're saying is that why don't we tap into that huge resource of 500 million people around the world, bring the best of those people together, and actually aid the benefit of the game by better investment, better partnerships, and unlocking the real potential of this game. And I think it can solve a lot of the problems that we have in the game today.
So through United Rugby Fans, what's your plan then to harness this resource, and how is it that you are going to, present the outputs in such a way that inside the system or as part of the global World Rugby system that it can have impact?
You bring up a good point, because I think the thing we should talk around that is collaboration, right? So we're not here to try and work in a silo environment. We want to work with all the different organisations and people and entities like Rugby Unity. You're making a voice, you're making a statement, you've got a role to play in this as well. But really data is the king, right? So what we're doing is we're building some very smart intelligence at the moment in the back end of our platforms that will enable us to do polls and surveys of rugby fans at a very large scale across the world. So we're really going to be able to get what the voice of the rugby fans are saying in terms of where are the issues that really bug them in the game today. And we're going to break that down to local club level. We're going to do it at a national level. We're going to do it at a regional level, and we're going to do it at a global level. So then we can go to the unions and World Rugby with hard facts, data saying, okay, here's the group of demographics within this country. This is the issues they have. This is how many of them believe there needs to be change. But also, here's the solutions that they're offering to change up the system. So again, it's not just a whinging platform. It's got to have impact. It's got to have intelligence. And it's got to have smart business people behind it. So we don't want some drunken Kiwi from a bar in Wellington turning up representing fans on the board of World Rugby, right? We want some intelligent business people that know how to run a global organisation and actually make it sustainable. So that's what the emphasis is on behind this.
Yeah. Now, These types of organisations have been in place in other sports. I know certainly in the Premier League there is a fan organisation that is well resourced, well funded, and is that the model that you're following in terms of developing United Rugby Fans?
Yeah, another good question, because why go and recreate something that already exists, right? So there's an organisation called FSE, Football Supporters Europe. They've been around for about 17 years. They've done some extraordinary work in the game of football across Europe. They've got fans represented now on the UEFA board in Europe, which has been a monumental milestone. So fans are making the decision on football across Europe, across 22 different member nations. They've got 4 million members of this organisation who are active every day in their countries across Europe. And they're really leading the charge when it comes to fans having an input. And they've had a big impact. They've had an impact on ticket pricing. They've had an impact on security at games, on transportation solutions to get to stadiums for fans, all the things that we want to look at across the rugby spectrum as well. And they've also had a really big impact on the pathways for young soccer players. And I think we're starting to see how that's having an impact on rugby and drawing away some of our young kids into the game of football across the world. So yes, we are taking a lot of ideas. I met with their board the other day. We looked at a lot of things that they're doing really, really well in our opinion. Of course, rugby's a different culture. You've got to understand that as well. But there's a lot of things that we can take on board and learn from them on their journey over the last 17 years.
So what was their pathway and the journey to a seat at the table? How is it that they have been able to now put themselves or achieve themselves and indeed to be invited by UEFA to sit at the table? How were they able to do that?
Well, it was a pivotal moment actually in their journey, because it came around the time where the Super League was going to be promoted in football in Europe, right? And the fans didn't want a part of it. So all of a sudden, FSE were able to take that power of the fans uniting behind the anti-Super League slogan, and they said to UEFA, look, this is how powerful the fans are, because the majority of them don't want the Super League process to go ahead. And it never got off the ground as a result of that. And UEFA then set up and said, wow, we now recognise that fans really do have the power. So it was at that time that they were invited in and got a seat at the table.
Wow. That's so with that pressure came opportunity.
Absolutely, yeah. And as a result of that, UEFA have now come out in different media exchanges and all the rest of it, and accepted the fact that without this fan engagement now, they wouldn't be where they are in terms of development of the game in Europe. So that there's a clear example of where it's worked perfectly well. It's not to say there's not problems, of course there are, but at least fans have got a seat at the table and they can be part of that voting process to get things pushed through as far as the governance of the sport. And I think that's what we're really lacking in rugby. We are the guys that buy the tickets. We're the guys that buy the merchandise, right? If it wasn't for us, the economic stability of the game is gone. And yet if fans stand up and say, right, we want a seat at the table to discuss all the issues that are affecting us, and we've got so much power, and that's the other thing we don't recognise yet. If you look at Ilona, Maher, Dan Carter and Kolisi, they've got more followers online than World Rugby has in total, right? Just 3 players. And that's the kind of power that exists within the rugby community today, whether it be players, current players, ex-players, and also the fans. We've got millions and millions of people that want to stand up and have their voice heard.
So will it take a crisis to be invited to the table for United Rugby Fans?
I don't think there needs to be. I hope there isn't, of course, because we're not wishing that on the game, right? Again, we're here to help the game and make it sustainable. We're not here to create a war. So I think the thing is we need to work intelligently, and I'm spending all my days and nights reaching out to rugby unions across the world, having a conversation, starting a journey of building that relationship of trust, and like any business relationship, and then starting to look at how we can actually add value. Because some of the points where they're struggling in, we can go out to our fan base and say, right, how are we going to fix this problem together, and come up with solutions and provide them to them. So I'm hoping that by doing that proactively, the unions are going to recognise the power, but also the creativity that exists within the fan base, and invite us into the table. It may not be a seat on the board tomorrow, but it might be part of a subcommittee or something that's going on to change the game, and that could be a great first step forward.
What sort of reception have you had so far from World Rugby, and what sort of reception have you had from individual national rugby unions?
Well, I've got to say that the feedback's been good, and of course we're in our early days. So, like any early enterprise that's trying to get going, there's scepticism around. Okay, who are these people? Who's behind it? What are they trying to achieve? So you know how it's like.
Who's this mad Kiwi in Mexico?
yeah, that doesn't help. That doesn't help, does it? Why is he in Mexico, right? But look, the conversations I've had with some of the rugby unions has been very positive, and I'm pushing the wheelbarrow in the respect of, look, we want fan empowerment, not fan engagement. We know it's important to get likes and clicks and comments and all the rest of it, but we've got to go that one step further. If we empower the fans of the game across the world, we can change the game together, and that's what this is about. So again, I'm a guy that likes to walk the talk. So I want to prove, okay, these are the things we've done in our first 12 months, and we've changed this, we've done this, we've got millions of fans behind us. Let us in the door now to have that real serious conversation.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. The shape of the game World Rugby Conference that's coming up in February, I've been told that there is a very big focus on the fan. It's going to be largely or not fan-driven, but putting the fan at the centre and the needs of the fans at the centre of the conversations. Perhaps the game's been guilty in the past of putting the game at the centre, and the beauty of the game and the integrity of the game, and we've got to make sure that the actual football. Whereas my understanding is that this time around, building on I think previous conversations, I think post the Women's Rugby World Cup, there was another gathering where, again, this notion of fan centricity was a fundamental part of those conversations. So I do think that the message is getting through.
Well, I hope so. We asked to be at that conference, and we haven't been extended an invitation. And maybe that'll come next year if there's going to be one next year. But I think it can't be ignored for too much longer, David, because I think, I'm watching across a lot of sports at the moment. It's not just rugby. There's a groundswell. I think we're reaching a tipping point where everybody's recognised the power of the fan within global sport, and how the professional and elite level of the sport is having a negative impact on the grassroots of different sport around the world. And I think we're getting to a stage now where there's more of us, less of them, and we're coming with not just numbers, but we're coming with intellect, power, business, experience, and all the rest of it. And we want to make sure that the true stakeholders of this game, that's the rugby fan, that's the true stakeholder of our game, they need to be heard, listened to, and be part of the solutions that are going forward.
We're not talking rugby, we're building it. Rugby Unity.
And it does make a lot of sense, particularly, and again, it's a topic we return to time and again, is that there's simply not enough money in rugby union at the moment to realise the potential of the sport, whether it be from the grassroots all the way through to the top. The top players do deserve to be paid more. The women, professional or semi-professional players, need to be paid more, and going all the way through the organisations, there's more mouths to feed than resources that we have and food to give them. And I do agree with you that sort of fan centricity can be a way to unlock that, because when you do look at the lessons of the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, they design their sports almost around the experience, and they create activity around their game that enables them to unlock more revenue and more passion and more engagement, because they are adaptable and listening to what the fans are saying. And obviously technology plays a big part in it as well, because now, as you say, you have a global platform. You've established a global platform, and you're available every day of the year almost to be able to have these conversations, which creates its own sense of pressure and momentum. So what's next? Where to next? Is that that's probably a reasonable marker, isn't it, to set for yourself, as ask for a seat at the table, or ask for an invitation to attend the shape of the game, not accepted or not activated. Perhaps next year it would be a good marker to be able to say, well, actually, you've been invited next year to bring the voice of the fan.
Yeah, I just want to go back to what you said, because I think there's some really good stuff in there that we need to explore a little bit in the conversation, and that is around, the game today. What is it? $8.5 billion globally around the world. My gut feel is it should be at least $20 billion, and there's no reason why it can't be very, very quickly if the right people are running the game to exploit the opportunities financially in the game. If we look at teams like the NFL Green Bay Packers, 100% owned by the community, has been for 100 years. They've won 4 Super Bowls. They've won 13 NFL championships. They've got 500,000 investors that are all fans of the NFL game. It's been a hugely successful team and enterprise, and it's got brilliant pathways for young NFL players coming up. There's a blueprint in itself for what could happen across the world of rugby if fans were able to get into that level of uniting with their team. And of course, we know that there's some rugby teams around the world that are owned by the community. But maybe this is a larger scale rollout that we could see, particularly in the smaller nations, the tier 2 nations, right, that are really trying to get investment into the game at that level. So I'm hoping that, you talk about shaping the game in 12 months' time. If we get an invitation, I want to make sure that within 12 months' time, we've got so much noise going on and impact that we're making that we cannot be ignored in 12 months' time. So I've set some pretty lofty goals for our organisation in terms of what we want to achieve, in terms of followers across the world. We're already in over 100 nations with people that are following us online. We're building our platforms not only through our own platforms, and before you all go rushing out there and checking out URF different social media accounts, it's not just about that. It's about what we're doing with Rugby Unity and all these other partners that we want to have that voice with. So collectively, again, we want to tap into that 500 million fans. And out of that, we have a subset of fans who are willing to get off their butts and actually go and do something to change the game. And that could be because they're an entrepreneur, a business person who understands the structure of the game and can add value to changes that need to be made. And we've got to understand that the category of fans is always important. There's going to be the guys and girls that sit down and watch the Six Nations in the weekend and they turn the TV off at the end of the game and that's all they want to do with the game. That's fine. And we want those people as well. But I can tell you now from the people I've been talking to, there's a lot of people across the world in the business world who want to see rugby doing better than it is today. And those are the people we need to really activate.
So, priorities. What are the 3 things that you want to achieve in the next 12 months for United Rugby Fans?
Yep, growing the fan base across the world to give us data. So I talked about it earlier. We want to be able to deliver data to the unions and World Rugby and say, this is what the fans actually are talking about and what's important to them. We want to get that right, first of all. We want to focus on grassroots rugby. We've got to see more investment coming into grassroots rugby. And one of our team members in South Africa has started an amazing project with schools across rural Africa and introducing touch rugby to those schools. So there's an impact we can have immediately on the ground at the grassroots level. It's got nothing to do with a rugby union. We're doing it through a bunch of volunteers and supporters and investors that will come on board to help us do that. And if we can do that in 10 or 20 countries around the world, we can get rugby going up to the next level as well. And we've got to make sure in the next 12 months too that we bring people into our organisation who have got the, let's say, street smarts when it comes to business to be able to look at the solutions that need to be put in place. This is not a 1-minute fix. You don't go into the Welsh Rugby Union and look at the things that are going on there and actually fix it overnight. You've got to sit down and look at the environment and understand, okay, do we wipe the slate clean here and start again with Welsh Rugby? Or can we actually tap into some of the good things that are happening there that we're not necessarily hearing about every day on social media? So you've got to do it in a smart way. We're not about busting the door down and trying to change everything overnight. As I said, I've spent the best part of the last 146 days educating myself on what's going on in the rugby world by listening to shows like yours and people that are talking, by ringing up presidents of rugby clubs in far-flung places around the world and actually understanding what's going on the ground.
It's an incredible sport, isn't it? When you do think about its reach and the impact that it has and this common set of values that underpins the game, there's a majesty to the whole to the whole enterprise. It's just a wonderful distributed asset, community asset that it has so much potential. And I do think that as we look at technology, the impacts of technology, the ability to be able to unite this group globally, there is just so much potential. And as you say, how did you come to that figure of, currently 8.5 billion? You think it's 20 billion. How did you land there?
Well, I was in the corporate world for 20 odd years and working in a multinational, working around the world. And my business sense tells me that the opportunities from a commercial perspective within the rugby global community have certainly not been tapped into yet. And I don't want to give too much away on the show, of course, but I'd say that we're operating in a very conservative mindset. It's been disappointing to see that World Rugby gets what generates the majority of its revenue from one event every 4 years, right?
Yeah.
And how many multinational businesses do you know that get all their revenue from one product? Yeah, it just doesn't happen. So there needs to be a look at how the rugby commercialisation of the sport is done across the world. You had a guest on your show not so long ago from India, a fantastic gentleman talking about the opportunities of the game in India. And we've got to look at China. China's got as many rugby clubs there at the moment as South Africa has, but how many people around the world know that as a fact and have tapped into the commercial opportunities that exist around that? So we've got to go to some of these non-traditional markets as well. Across Asia, we've got more people interested in rugby than we have across Europe at the moment. So there's the market that we've got to tap into as well and look at commercial opportunities. So I would say 20 million should be a minimum. 20 billion, should be a minimum as far as the goal of World Rugby is concerned.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. I think there is huge potential opportunity. And I do think for businesses, and again, this comes to perhaps the professionalisation of the sport in many ways, is that sponsors will give you money if you can help solve their business problems for them. So again, being more targeted about not just saying, hey, just give us the money because we're great guys and here is our values and we're a big sport. It's understanding their business and then being able to leverage what we have as a sport to solve their problems. And that's the way to unlock, that's the way to the heart of a CFO's, to get a CFO to give you some dollars will come from, solving some of the problems that keep them up at night. But anyway, that's another conversation for another time. One of the things that you did send through to me with in preparation for this conversation today was this list of activity that you have completed, or United Rugby Fans has completed over the last period, and you've just mentioned one of those activities, but there's a whole lot of other things that you've done as well. Do you want to just run us through just some of those specific activities that you've been doing so people can be quite clear about what it is that you're up to?
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to do that. I appreciate it. So one of the things that we're doing is we're creating a charity division within United Rugby Fans, because philanthropy has always been something I've been big about throughout my life, and giving back and making a difference, I think, as a human being is one of the greatest things we can do in our journeys. And I wanted to make sure that we have support and opportunities to support great foundations across the world that are doing work in the rugby space. And we've already brought on one of those charity organisations. It's called Happy Bundles out of Seattle and Washington. It's run by Candace and Dan Kriel. Dan Kriel's the brother of Jesse Kriel, the Springbok. And he's playing for the Seattle Seawolves up there. And shout out to Dan. He'll be watching the show for sure. But Candace and Dan have got a fantastic story. Candace got cancer a few years ago. And as a result of getting through that, they decided to set up a charity organisation that helps little kids in hospitals receive happy bundles of toys and gifts. And once I came across that, I said, right, let's start supporting charities in the rugby space across the world. So that's a portal that we want to develop and grow as well. As we grow, we want different charities in different countries across the world that are all related to rugby, that we will get our fans and our movement behind to support. So we'll help them with fundraising, we'll give them blasts across our social media and do all those things to help them be more sustainable as well. So that's underway. The second thing is we launched United Rugby Fans Television. We've got a great host. Her name is Stacey Paetz. She's from ESPN Sports in America and Fox Sports. She does MLR rugby commentary as well. And Stacey's come on board to be our host of URF TV, and we've got her already doing interviews of rugby fans across the world, grassroots fans, telling us about their stories, about how they got into the game, why they got into the game. And there's some amazing stories already coming out of that. But we're going to put Stacey on the road soon. She's going to be travelling to grassroots rugby clubs across the world, and she's going to be making episodes, and we're going to get into the heartland of the game. So Outback Australia, we're coming to you. We're going to come and see your rugby club. We're going to talk to you about all the challenges you've got, and we're going to put it on United Rugby Fans TV. So that's something else we're doing. And we're also writing a pretty cool book, David. I want to invite you on the show today to actually participate in this, because your old mate Gordon Bray in Australia, he's part of it. He's going to be in it. So we're writing the coolest rugby book that's ever been written, we think. It's called United Rugby Fans Rugby Book, and we've invited 80 contributors across the world to write 500 to 1,000 words of their own about their own journey in the game of rugby. So when did it start? How did you fall in love with this beautiful game? We've already got 47 contributors, so we only need a few more, and we'll be finished, and we'll publish the book pretty early this year and get it out for rugby fans to read as well. So we're engaging the community in lots of different ways. We're trying to make a difference in lots of different ways. But we've got to remain focused on our goal, and that is to get fans a seat at the table so we can start being part of the decision-making process.
Fabulous. And there is much, much more on that list. And you don't have to go through the whole thing, but they are just some of the highlights of United Rugby Fans. So the important thing, how do people find their way from Rugby Unity across to United Rugby Fans? How can they participate? How can they become part of this growing community, and just how big is it at the moment? Could you make an estimate of how big United Rugby Fans is?
Our immediate connection is to over 25,000 people in over 100 countries today. But we have a reach that's much larger. For instance, one of my board members, she's got a column in the Los Angeles Tribune newspaper that goes to 14 million people. So at any time we want, we can drop some information in there about what we're doing in the rugby space across North America, and it goes out to that kind of community. So as I said earlier, it's not just about how many people we've got in our community, it's what we're connected to. And now we've got this alliance, David, with Rugby Unity, we can start getting out to your community, right? And we can work together on some fantastic things. So check out our website, urfans.org. Or just write me an email, mark@urfans.org. I reply to everybody. I don't ghost anybody. I'm up all day or night responding to emails, because rugby fans across the world, they're brilliant people and they want to make something different. So that's what I'm committing to for the rest of my life anyway.
So is it just you?
No, we've got a huge team across the world at the moment. So we've got a board of directors in South Africa that are running our legal entity down there. So we've got a not-for-profit already set up in South Africa with a board of director and a bunch of volunteers. We've got over 600 members in South Africa today. And as I alluded to earlier, we've got some interesting programs we're already launching on the ground. We've got people in Canada and North America that are doing things. We're opening up a touch rugby and sevens rugby panel on our website so we can connect the touch and sevens rugby community around the world and hear their voice on the things that they want to make different in their game. Also for the women's game, we've got people focused in our organisation on the women's activity, getting investment into the game, making sure young girls are brought into the game in the right manner and they've got support. So no, it's not just me. I'm just a loud voice behind it all, David. That's all, mate.
Have you been surprised at how successful it's been?
Not really, because I think from a business point of view, if I put my business hat on, I saw the opportunity, because I think rugby fans, as you alluded to through this conversation, they're very passionate people. They love their game so much, they'll die for it if they want to in some instances. So I knew there was going to be an interest in it, but we've got a lot of work to do. I don't want to sit here today and say it's all rainbows and sunshine, right? We've got a lot of work to do. We've got to put the structures in place. We're not going to be a fleeting overnight organisation. We're here for the long run. We've got to be sustainable. We've got to get our own partners and sponsors and supporters on board. And maybe I can tell you about another thing we're doing at the end of the year that I'll invite you to, David, because we're going to have the first ever United Rugby Fans Global Rugby Awards. And I don't know, have you been to the World Rugby Awards at all, David, in your life?
No. Never been invited. Haven't been to Monaco. I've been to Monaco, but I've never been to although I did notice this year that they weren't held in Monaco, which I think was a good thing.
Yeah, well, I'm in your boat. I've never been invited either. And funny enough, most of the 500 million fans haven't either. So I decided we'd take this one on. And at the end of the year, on December the 5th in Toronto in Canada, we're having the first ever United Rugby Fans Global Rugby Awards. It's going to be held at the Crusaders Rugby Club in Toronto. We're going to have 150 people in the audience, but we're going to broadcast it to the world of rugby online and live stream it. And all the categories are going to be chosen by rugby fans across the world. All the winners of the awards are going to be chosen by the rugby fans of the world. This is going to be the Oscars of rugby for the grassroots of the game, mate. And we're giving it back to the people. Okay.
What sort of categories? What sort of categories are people going to compete for?
Well, we're going to have, obviously the best player, male and female, best coaches, best volunteers, best club manager, all those sorts of things, right? Best podcaster as well, David. So put your name in the hat, mate.
Why not? Now, listen, we could talk all night. There's a million things we could continue to talk about. I've got to go. Unfortunately, I'm not like you. I'm not in Cancun retired pursuing a hobby. I have a day job, which I've got to get to now. So thank you so much for giving up some of your time and squeezing us into your very busy calendar. And congratulations for showing the initiative and actually getting up and doing something and building a global community that is all about how to, contributing to this mission of, well, how do we help secure the future prosperity of rugby union around the world? And no doubt big things to continue to come out of United Rugby Fans. So congratulations, a big thanks on behalf of rugby fans around the world for taking the leadership. And long may it prosper and long may it flourish. And the good thing is I do know that a lot of people at World Rugby and around the world in influential positions listen to Rugby Unity because they've told me. And so hopefully they have listened clearly today and that they can understand that there is benefit. And I know that they do, but it's just how these things happen over time. So anyway, I am grateful to you for giving us some of your time today. So a big thanks there to Mark Philpott. What a guy. What a rugby guy, just out there doing it, making it happen, taking responsibility, as he said. He could see that there was a need. He could see that there was this conversation. And so now there is a place, United Rugby Fans, a place to get in. And what a great story about that European football fans who are now on the board of UEFA, that there is a fan-led organisation who are sitting there saying, well, hang on a minute. And I think to Mark's point, I think he's absolutely onto it there with the data. If there is a way that through United Rugby Fans, there can be this aggregation and then segmentation of data over time, which technology now gives us, and with all the tools that we've got to be able to analyse it, there will be so much insight that can be taken and shared for the benefit of rugby around the world. So good to see a very bright guy. And it's interesting, another Kiwi on the road. I have family in New Zealand, and so many of them follow the same path, that they jump out of New Zealand early and away they go. And they spread themselves around the world and they do great things. So a big hello to all Kiwis who are listening to this today, and thanks for what you do for the game around the world. So anyway, listen, engage, like, subscribe, share, all that sort of stuff, wherever you'd like to engage with Rugby Unity. It's been great. We've had a really good time over the last little while, and look forward to continuing this conversation with people like Mark about the game, about how do we, reach this prosperity that we know that we can do. There's a big journey. There's a lot to do, but certainly with conversations like today, we'll continue to unlock a lot of that potential as we all build towards this, mission of helping to secure the future prosperity of rugby union around the world. So anyway, that's for me today. My name is David Pembroke. Please be kind to each other. We'll be back with another episode pretty soon with Rugby Unity. But for the moment, it's bye for now.